when you hear, such as social justice, when you hear like biblical justice or justice as it pertains to as us as believers primarily, what comes to mind for you?
For me, it's standing on the side of right and righteousness.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, there are some things that you're like, I'm not really certain about this. However, there are many things that we can be very clear on
Right,
Hmm.
when it comes to right and wrong.
Yeah.
right.
And then some of the things we can find in the Word of God.
Hmm.
Hmm.
What did Jesus do when he walked the earth? If we're
Hmm.
looking to him as our example, then that is our guide for what justice should look like.
Yeah,
How did he treat other people?
yeah.
What did he do in his exchanges and his interactions with others? Um, so for me, it's standing on the right side in righteousness.
I like that.
Hmm.
Standing on the right side in
Yeah.
righteousness. Okay. What about you, Holly?
I would say, with that, in that same line, what Shanita said, standing for what's right, standing for what's righteousness, fighting for those who can't fight for themselves,
Mm,
taking care of the widow, taking care of the
yeah.
orphan, being the one who, like in the story of the Good Samaritan, my pastor just preached, oof, Lord, that when he did that revelation that Jesus is the Samaritan and he came and poured oil and water into and wine into our wounds, and
Mm,
it was just an awesome revelation to see that that's how we should approach those who are in trouble, those who are in distress, those who are marginalized, those who are
right.
oppressed. And so, yeah, so that's what I would say, right and righteousness and fighting for those who can't fight for themselves.
Yeah.
I think you guys hit it spot on because I did just look up the definition, in preparation for, justice and then biblical justice. And just to put emphasis on biblical justice was split up into like four components. So part of it was fairness, which you
Hmm.
guys were talking about, righteousness, just those ideas that are rooted in like moral integrity, aligning to God's nature. What would Jesus do in
Hmm.
these type of situations? Another aspect of biblical justice talks about the restorative part of it. Like it's not just punitive, but there is that emphasis on redemption and
Hmm.
restoration.
Yeah.
And like you're aiming to set things right instead of just
Hmm.
punishing like the wrongdoing aspect.
Yeah.
And then there's the divine order. So, justice in the biblical sense is just being seen as God's divine order. He was a
Hmm.
just God. We say that.
Yeah.
He's a just God. Um, and that's pertaining to like those moral and ethical standards. And so just to park right here for a minute, when I think about things like the Epstein files,
Mm.
and just thinking about like the moral and ethical components of what's taking place with something such as that, regardless of what your thoughts are, who your candidate is, what party affiliation you ascribe to, I think some of the concern is that on a moral and ethical standpoint,
Yeah.
this is just wrong. Like
Exactly.
it's just wrong,
Hmm.
regardless of whether you are blue or red, black
Yeah.
or white, gay or straight. On a moral, ethical standpoint, we should probably not be trafficking children and selling them.
Exactly.
Right.
And that's the
Um,
thing too, like I pray for the day when Christians will abandon both parties. I mean, I'm
ooh,
just
that part. Mhm.
because if you look at the Epstein files, both of them jokers, both sides was
Both sides
are
are
implicated.
implicated. Yeah.
And and so it's just my thing is I just want us to get to that place where we don't pick a side, where we on the side of the Lord. If the Lord was walking the earth now, he wouldn't be on either one of them sides. And
Right.
so, and I feel like it's just brought so much chaos, it's brought so much division, mainly because the church has been at the forefront of
Yeah.
causing some of the division
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
they've, taken sides
Yeah.
and said, okay, if you're not Christian, if you're not this, and so that's pitted us against one another. And so, yeah, I just pray for that day when we get that revelation.
Yeah. We've talked about or mentioned this before. We probably need a good long letter from Paul right now.
Honey,
Yeah.
he wouldn't be
Um,
cussing
Paul
us
will
out.
write
I
us,
swear.
he will write us
we,
multiple books,
we would have a novel.
multiple letters and books,
We
honey.
would absolutely have a novel. And I think what would be addressed, maybe at the top, at least in my mind, is idolatry. To what Holly
Oh,
was saying, just the
mm,
political parties and how individuals on both sides
yeah.
have said they are committed to the cause of Christ,
Mm,
but the behavior doesn't look like
don't
it.
match it.
The
Yeah.
actions don't look like it. And so
Mm-hmm.
if you are acknowledging that you are living for Jesus
Hmm?
Mm-hmm.
and you do opposite, not
Yeah.
in a way, because we all fall sin
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
or fall short of the glory of God and all that. So we all mess up here and there, but to make it a lifestyle
Come
where
on.
you totally disregard
Been calling
what
it my struggle. No.
the
Go
the
ahead.
person who
12
you say
years.
you are following, and you just put that to the side for the
Mm,
sake of who you really worship, I think we would be addressed, idolatry would be addressed in that
yeah.
letter from Paul.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Paul would,
Phew.
And some
Paul
folks
would,
would be set down.
Paul was like, he would really take the posture. I got time today
Exactly.
to give us the nitty gritty.
Yeah, because
And
what
this,
y'all not gonna do,
and that's it. That's
Exactly.
that's what Paul letter going. That's how it's going to read.
Mm-hmm.
right?
And this is the last thing as it pertains to biblical justice when it talks about those four components. It and the last component is community and relationship.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that's just stressing like the importance of maintaining community and then like reflecting God's love through harmony and
Mm-hmm.
justice amongst all people, all the
Yeah.
peoples.